Hello and welcome back to the Key Arsenal podcast. It's episode 70 today. I'm your host, Matthew Key, and joining me today, we have got two lovely co-hosts. We've got Dad and Carl. How are we both doing?
Fine, thanks.
Fine, thank you.
Good. We've not got Madeline joining us once again this week. She's soaking up a bit of sun in Spain, so we'll see her when we next see her. But yeah, two guests with me today to discuss two games. The first of which was very good, and the second of which slightly more disappointing. We'll come on to how disappointing and stuff in a second. Dad already shaking his head there. But yeah, Carl, we said last week that it's basically what we expected. 3 points from two games is what we'd expect. Anything more than that would be a bonus, and anything less than that would be disappointing, and that's exactly what we got. Let's start with Villa, a game which on paper looks like a bit of a close one. We've sort of nicked a winner 15 minutes before time, but anything but. I know we were both there, and I've said to you afterwards, I thought it was perhaps our most impressive performance of the season so far.
Yeah, I thought we played reasonably well. We dealt quite effectively with their one-dimensional tactic, which was to kick them up in the air as quick as possible and hope the referee doesn't punish them, which obviously the referee didn't. We played quite well, and we were certainly worth the win and a bit more. But we've said that a few times, too many times this season already. So yeah, we need to start getting our shooting boots on a bit more, getting a few more goals in front. Some impressive performances though from some of the players. If I may mention Lukonga in that breadth for that game, I thought he was very good, but he wasn't the only one.
Yeah, absolutely. That lack of clinicalness will definitely be something we come on to shortly. Dad, for you watching at home on the telly, did it feel like it did to me and Carl, very sort of on top? And to be honest, very little concern at all. Obviously, the goal was a bit of a fluke, but quickly made it 2-1. And then just seemed to be a matter of controlling the game reasonably well, even if it shouldn't have had to have been like that.
In fairness, having gone back in front, we did control the game very well. I mean, how they scored is quite beyond me. Did they deserve to score? No. Could you see it coming? It had a bit of a feel about it that they would have one fluky effort on goal and it would go in. I generally say they weren't a very good side. I thought the referee was very generous. It's how many times are you going to let someone commit a foul? Oh, the minute an Arsenal player commits a foul, that's a yellow card. Well, once again, I thought the refereeing was, I'll describe it as poor. Clearly, you are allowed to kick Arsenal players and foul them and not punish anyone for it if an Arsenal player commits an offence. And I'm not saying that there weren't bookings from an Arsenal point of view. I have no problem with bookings because they probably were both bookings. What I don't understand is how one side can commit all of those fouls and end up with two bookings. One side commits two fouls in the game and they get two bookings.
It was like he was refereeing two different games, or two different referees were refereeing one game. Maybe it was very odd, and it's not the first time, but it's standard refereeing is just appalling, isn't it?
Yeah, well, the inconsistencies we'll get onto in due course. But yeah, we're flying high. That made it 5 wins out of 5. Opened up a bit more of a gap on Tottenham because they drew to West Ham. Can't remember the other result. City smashed Forest. Liverpool got a last minute winner. Chelsea, what did Chelsea do? Can't remember. United won. Anyway, we're sitting pretty happy at the top of the table, knowing that it was a big game coming at the weekend. Old Trafford, it's a place we said last week we're not very good at. It's a place which we always fear going to, and that is something that we've seen on the pitch as well as off it. That wasn't the case this time, that must be said. But again, Dad, disappointing result in the end, despite perhaps an encouraging performance, if there is such a thing after losing a game.
Yeah, there's no. It's a disappointing result. I thought we played really well till we got to the edge of their box. We seem to have gone a bit shot shy again, and that is a bit of a trait I've noticed over the games this season. We're looking for that perfect goal again. No one's actually having a shot just at random. Did we deserve to win? No. Did we deserve a point? Yes. I thought we were the better side. We played the better football. They had a really good 10 minutes. We had a goal. In the context of everything else I've seen, I think anywhere else it would have been a goal. That's an opinion. And I have no issue if everyone gets treated the same, but I suspect if it had been the other way around, the goal would have stood. And yeah, I'll be honest. I think we just need to be create a bit more. They played us, in fairness. They dropped back. They got one up. They were going to play on the break. Having got to 1-1, we probably needed to just hold ourselves for 5 minutes, get ourselves. And I would say the 3 substitutions like we did in one go, I'm not convinced we knew who was playing where and what. And we go back to Lukonga, who I thought was very good against Villa. I thought he was very good against Manchester United as well. We seemed to decide we weren't going to have we'll call it a defensive midfielder. We were just going to go all out and try and break them down. Which logically, if you'd watched the game, you go, did you need the defensive midfielder? Well, you did if they were going to break. No. A bit naive, I'll describe it. No. Go on, Carl.
It's pretty much the same. I thought we was a little bit naive. I'd even go to the extent of saying we was a bit cocky. I thought we got the goal back, and it for all intents and purposes, we was watching the match and we thought we could go on and win this. And I just looked like the players were like that as well. I mean, getting caught like we did for the second was pretty poor. I think it was Lukonga who made the mistake. I can't remember now, but I think it was. In that on the left-hand side, he put a bad pass through. But we shouldn't be caught so far up the pitch, as in our central defence, so far up the pitch, and a little bit ball gazing. I thought they got caught on their heels a bit, particularly Saliba, and that was disappointing. I see these things sometimes as well. It's a lesson learned. As much as anything, what he could look at that this week and say, what could I have done better? And there's a few things he could have done better, apart from the fact he got himself in such a position that he went to turn the wrong way and then he turned back again on himself, which cost him a split second, half a second maybe. I don't think he would have caught him, but what else could he have done? Probably could have stood off a little bit more, possibly. I don't know. There's a few things. There's quite a few things that. We weren't perfect at. I thought we actually deserved to win, and I think if that first goal would have stood, it would have been interesting how the match would have developed, because Man United, the way he's playing them now, is a bit like we were when Arteta took over. He played basically on the break. And Arteta did, he was looking for Aubameyang to nick the goal, and we just sharp shot. And that's kind of, I think, what United are trying to do, just play on the break. So it suited them being one up, and they've done quite well, to be fair. Well, this ain't a pop at Man United. I can't be bothered to do it. The Rat Boy and Ericsson were very good for them, but. And obviously McTominay just fouled when he wanted to, because that's just the norm. It's just a bit embarrassing now that everyone knows it. Every single team is a victim of it, but he gets away with it every week. But yeah, we could have been a bit smarter. Whether that's naivety because of the youth, which I think it probably is, or some other reason, I can't say for sure, but it's probably youth. But lesson learned. Hopefully they'll learn from it, and we move on. Ben White, by the way, for both the second and the third goals, his chasing back was admirable. The fact he got a touch to both of them, no one seemed to have picked up. The third one he gets a touch to, he just touched it straight onto Rashford's foot. Now, if he'd have got a little bit more, if he'd have managed to get that little bit more, he would have taken it away from him. But he didn't. He actually just literally tapped it onto his foot, and Rashford finished well. And the second goal, I'm not even sure that would have gone in without Ben White's touch.
No.
But that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. And I liked the fact that he just didn't stop going back and trying. And he was, that close, from pulling off a superb block on both of them, or a block and a clearance on both of them.
I think my only issue, Carl, is if you look at the 90 minutes, how many saves did De Gea make?
Oh yeah, we got massively. I mean, Saliba missed a sitter. Well, not a sitter. A very good chance early on when he was trying to be too delicate and went in the corner. Odegaard should have shot at one point. I can't remember when it was. I think it was the second half, and he decided to take another touch, and the chance went away. Saka shot across goal, and maybe he should have really been able to stick that one in. But there was it wasn't so much. I mean, I'm glad he shot. It was the ones where they didn't shoot, and that was an issue, and that's the first time we've had that issue this year. They got a bit shy in front of goal, and there was no need to be.
Odegaard also had the one where he shot and he was apparently had corners on his feet because it went out for a throw in, I think, which is also a good chance. Which I think we got the ball back, and that is how we eventually scored. But yeah, it was a frustrating one, but is encouraging the right word to use potentially? I mean, as we said, we've gone to United, and as you said, Carl, we were arguably the better team, and that naivety did perhaps cost us, but that's just part of the learning curve, isn't it? And I think that in the same way against Leicester, Fulham, and Villa, when we've conceded goals, we've then come out really all guns blazing and managed to get a goal again. I think maybe we thought, or we've scored, we're gonna not let what's happened to us, what we've done to other teams happen, and we're gonna score again. I think is what but yeah, what was needed was a calmer approach for 5 minutes, and we could have well gone on to win the game then, because I think United would have perhaps been prepared to settle for the point.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, there's a few things we could have done differently, and that's not just that. The substitutions, which I thought were, that showed an attacking instinct, I suppose.
Yeah,
which is no bad thing. I'd rather have that than.
Well, from my point of view, where Arteta got it wrong is what we just said is he should have just got people to calm down for 5 minutes, kept hold of the ball, and as we say, would have at least got a point, then could have gone on to win it. I think as far as the substitutions were concerned, we were 2-1 down, having been really on top, and that's just a sort of damned if you do, damned if you don't situation where if we'd made changes too late, people would have said, well, it's too late by then. Because then we'd have been 3-1 down, and he did it earlier than perhaps we'd expect, and it was, he's done it too early. So that was one where it was a bit.
And if you look at what I've just said about us not having attempts on goal, Ramsdale's made one save.
Yeah.
Which was from his own mistake when he kicked the ball.
I'd argue that was from who was it?
Who did he kick the ball to? I can't remember. Well, kick, pass.
It was to Xhaka, I think. And it was a poor touch from Xhaka, but it was a bit of a hospital pass from Ramsdale, who along with Ben White, I thought he had a superb game. Ramsdale, apart from that one error, pinging balls out to Ben White at right back, bringing them down. They were starting attacks all afternoon, which was really encouraging to see. And Saka gave the Malacia, however you say his name, who's looked really decent so far. He gave him the absolute run around. So
He certainly did. It was Zinchenko, by the way. It wasn't Xhaka.
yeah, it was. You're right. It was. It was. Do you on Zinchenko actually? Do you think it is a game more suited to Tierney with the more defensive instincts, or do you think actually we got a lot of success from Zinchenko coming into midfield? So it's one where we might have been better off defensively, but not as good in an attacking sense.
Excuse me.
Not sure. Not sure,
Is that,
to be honest.
is that another one of those? Well, you could.
He's
you could
made a
argue either
call.
way.
He's made a
Yep.
call, and
Yep.
fair enough. Tierney would have been disappointed, I would expect and hope, in many ways. He'll be playing tomorrow night. He'll be playing on Thursday in the Europa League, I'm guessing, unless they're concerned about Zinchenko for Sunday. But we'll see. It was.
In fairness, going back to Tierney, I thought the Wednesday night or Tuesday night against Villa,
Yeah,
I thought he was a lot
Wednesday.
better than he had been the previous game.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
I
That's
agree with
just
that.
because he's getting minutes under his belt, and he's obviously going to get better and better. He's a good player. I mean, we are blessed in the left back territory. Two completely contrasting left fullbacks. It's nice.
But yeah, we lost. We'll learn from it. We're still top of the league, which is nice, and we're not going to get on the manager's back and demand that he gets sacked after losing one game, which maybe other clubs would. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I can't think of that any club would do that. Such a thing.
It seems silly strategy. Anyway, let's just go back then to the you could say was the big moment of the game, which was at 0-0 when Ødegaard wins the ball back, if that's what you're going to call it, or fouls, if that's what you want to call it, and Lokonga plays that beautiful pass through to Martinelli. Saka, plays a beautiful pass to Martinelli. He finishes superbly, and you think that is it. That's 1-0. We'll see how the game goes now. Carl, I know you weren't a fan of Mr. Tierney's appointment in the first place. At which point did you think, this could be?
I saw the replay. This changed. We're going to let the game flow this year, right? So just taking that into consideration, right? So it's got to be clear and obvious. There is contact, without a doubt. There's contact. Yeah. If he gives that, I would have no issue with that whatsoever. If he gave that on the pitch, no issue whatsoever. There's contact. Eriksen's gone down a bit like Xhaka does. When there's contact, he falls over. Xhaka's very good. He falls on the ball always. He always falls on the ball. Yeah. And that's really what Eriksen should have done at that point. But he'd already kicked it away, if you remember. He kicked it away, so therefore he couldn't. So he took the easy option. He fell over. There wasn't enough for him to fall over, and the referee knows that. And apparently, that has been said since that is the case. Tierney still thinks, well, I'm not sure that was a foul.
He described it as soft in an interview.
Sorry?
He described it himself as a soft.
Yeah, which is ridiculous, because at that point, okay, the fourth official, who's been dropped now, Lee Mason, after his stupidity on Saturday as well, has said, I want you to have a look at this. He spent the best part of a minute looking at that. If he spends 2 replays looking at that point, he has to have the balls, to be fair to him, like Michael Oliver did, to say, well, that's not a clear and obvious error. Michael Oliver the previous day with his handball, which I think was not handball. I think the player was trying to bring his arms in. However, once it's given, it's not a clear and obvious error. It wasn't. And I honestly believe, and this is taking off me Arsenal specs, that is not a clear and obvious error. Under their new guidance, so we're going to let the game flow, and that was contact, a foul on the pitch, not given. So therefore, at that point, I think he should have stuck with his guns. A soft penalty, a soft one, as he's called it since. Well, a soft one means actually you don't really believe it's a foul. He shouldn't have turned himself. He shouldn't have overruled his own decision. And the fourth official, the VAR, I should say, it's just they beg a belief. I mean, it's just been an embarrassing weekend. You got that idiot Danny Murphy saying you need professional footballers doing VAR. Yeah, I'm sorry, my auntie who's 70 and likes watching a bit of Match of the Day would be able to do VAR better than they can. They are dreadful. It doesn't need a professional to do it. It just needs someone who's got a bit of common sense and has a knowledge of the rules and what they're there for. They're there for offsides, which is pretty much automated now and will become fully automated soon by the sound of it, and for clear and obvious errors. So bloke grabbing someone's hair, throwing it at the ground and the referee not seeing it, that's a clear and obvious error. That's a sending off.
I think your point is not, apparently.
Well, apparently it's not, yeah. A bloke at the Newcastle match, that's Lee Mason again on VAR on that match.
This is the farcical thing, is that Lee Mason has since been kicked off for a week from VAR because they've decided he's had a shocker. But since the time they've decided that, he's done another game.
Yeah.
Surely, if he's been investigated, he should not be allowed to do a game until they've come up with a decision. And if they decide that he's all right and he's not actually in the wrong, he can just go back to doing a game next week. But if you find him guilty, the fact he's already done another game, it's just farcical.
Yeah, I mean, Lee Mason from Greater Manchester overturning Paul Tierney from Greater Manchester in this is, and I'm sorry, and I know people can say all day long, but it doesn't mean they're biased. They don't necessarily support them teams. I agree, but who's he going to cut? Who are these people coming in contact with? Who are these people going to be having dialogue with? Who's their milkman, their postman, their next door neighbour? It's just a ridiculous. There shouldn't be this whole group of referees and officials. And Man United are getting 3 times the amount of decisions than pretty much any other club anyway. But they shouldn't be all grouped in one little area. It's
and
not
what you've
right.
said is actually true, Cole, because we know from Graham Pole, who lived down the road, lives in Tring, we know people used to write things on his letters such as, that was never a penalty.
Yeah. But we know the song about, that's right, we won't go there.
But I'm saying, so what you've said is fundamentally right. I'm not saying Paul Tierney is anti-Arsenal, pro-Man United.
I'm not either. It just shouldn't be left for any, it just shouldn't geographically.
Well, the other bit is Lee Mason, who wasn't deemed fit to be a Premier League referee anymore.
Why is he doing it? Mike Dean. I mean, I was watching. Sorry, I went to the dentist and I had a chill out for an hour, and they were showing on Sky the football from the double season 2001-2, was it 2001-2? They were showing that. I thought, oh, I'll watch a bit of that, and they said, and there was controversy at the Leicester match when the referee sent off 2 people, and they showed them, and I was like, God, well, they were sending off people for stupid things back then. And then they showed the referee, and it's Mike Dean. I remember he was so useless there. Then he'd just come back after he'd been banned because he had an association. And I don't know how to put this without saying, like, you know, it's dodgy. But he had some sort of association where he was either working for bookmakers or he'd done some adverts maybe for bookmakers and stuff, and they said you can't do that, and he, you know, had been a bit of a kerfuffle for a period of time, and he comes back and he just acts like an idiot for the next 20 years, and he ends up in charge of VAR. It's not an opinion; it's just a fact. There's a litany of dreadful mistakes by the fella. A litany. It's not even a one-off. He got dropped after an Arsenal game. Matt referee Sheffield United. Had an abysmal performance for them in the Championship, and he got put back up in the Premiership because they didn't want him after that. Yeah. It's boring. It's a repetitive nonsense because they are nonsense. The Willock one, where he's fouled the goalkeeper, he has fouled the goalkeeper, but he's fouled the goalkeeper because he's been pushed into the goalkeeper, and the VAR should have said, that's not a goal, it's a penalty. But we had almost exactly the same in a match with us, funny enough, against Palace as well, where Callum Chambers was pushed into one of their players and
Disallowed.
Socrates scored, and they disallowed it. And at the time, PGMOL turned around and stated, the way we've worked it is you're only allowed to look at the previous foul. So Callum Chambers getting lumped. No, that's not a penalty because we're not looking at that. We're only looking at what Callum Chambers has done. So Callum Chambers being pushed into a player, not looking at the push, just looking at that. And that they said that had changed at that point, which was a lie. In other words, they make it up as they go along, as they always do.
I was going to say they acknowledged they made a mistake on that one. Every time they do that, they sort of adjust it. But then you say the exact same things happened 3 years later, which they're now going to have a look in and review to change it.
It's nonsense. They make the same mistakes. It's repetitive mistakes. This is not ever going to change while these same people are in charge.
In fact, I'd argue that Newcastle one is worse because what you see on it when he goes to the monitor is a Joe Willock flying through the air.
Yeah.
How has he been able to launch himself like that?
But the incredible thing is they don't show the referee on the pitch. But my understanding is it doesn't show Willock being pushed. It just shows him flying through the air and clattering the goalkeeper. They have actually in effect, Lee Mason has edited that out of the argument, which is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
I know what you said about the Michael Oliver one. I haven't seen that one, but I think whenever they get, you need to go and have a look at that, it's just in the back of their mind that I'm going to have to change my decision here.
Yeah.
And Paul Tierney standing, however, 2 yards away from it, decided it's not a foul, it's not a push. Then he's like, Paul, you need to go and have a look at that. So
and he
immediately,
for the best part of a minute, he's looking at it, and at that point, if you're looking at it for that long, time's up, it's gone. You just know he's got doubt. Even then, he had doubt, and he's only gone because he said, "Well, the guy in the box has said it is. I better go." I don't
know if they taught the VAR talks to the referee while he's looking at it. I don't know if that, but I don't know whether he's saying, he's pushed him there. You need to change that. But as you say, he was very doubtful. I think the two most important things about it is, firstly, context. It's an Arsenal versus Man United game. There'd been about 10, 15 of the countless incidents just like that you see, and a decision would be made and they're not checked because it's a goal it's suddenly checked. And in terms of the clear and obvious things, in cricket, they use the umpire's call to get rid of the shocker. And if it's not a shocker, they stick with the umpires. So that's what they need to do. Is it an absolute shocker? Like the Lukonga one, when he's won the ball against Bruno Fernandes and his leg's gone high and into him. And that's a red card. It's not.
It was never a red card. Is it the back of his calf as well, apart from anything else?
That's not a shocker. They've quite rightly not done anything with that. But then they
Gary
interrupted.
Neville thought it was a red card, by the way.
Yeah, Gary Neville was, he's a dick. But Virgil van Dijk's the previous day, that was a red card.
And then at half time, the goal, you got Paul Merson. No, that's fine. Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank. That's fine. Roy Keane. Yeah, I think it's fine. It's soft. I mean, for goodness sake, you got 3 ex-pros in the studio, 2 of which you'd have to say with biases towards either team, saying it's fine. Just get on with it.
Yeah, it's the way of the world at the moment. The way of refereeing at the moment. They're just a bit useless, and I don't know where it stops. We always bemoaned referees and their presumed bias against us. Yeah, and that's passion and that's everything. But you think, are they corrupt? And now you watch it, and with the VAR, and you see some awful decisions being made time and time again, and it kind of makes it kind of confirms in your mind that there's something not right here.
Yep.
And you kind of hope it's just they're inept and thick and a bit dense and really don't know what's going on that football pitch, as opposed to the second one, which is they're corrupt.
I still fundamentally don't believe that they're corrupt, Carl.
Exactly. So they're just incompetent, which is dreadful.
But I think the incompetence comes from the people above them.
I tend to agree. And then you add, are they incompetent or are they corrupt?
At the moment, the two best referees, I'm going to say Michael Oliver generally.
Yeah, he had his nightmare last year with Martinelli, but yeah.
And then you've got Anthony Taylor, good referee.
I think he's a pretty decent referee. I know Chelsea fans hate him, and I understand why they hate him as well. 100% understand. But that's to be expected with what happened with them.
Gerard
Gillett is so out of his depth. It's so unbelievable.
Bad. Was he the one? Was he the Villa one?
No, he was Fulham.
Yeah.
Peter Banks was the Villa one, and he was shocking. But quickly on the Villa one, you've had the goal they've scored where I'm sitting right behind it. I've no idea what's happened there. I've just seen the corner go in and it's gone in the goal, and I've sort of looked around. What has happened there? And then
he's blocked off the goalkeeper. He's obstructed the goalkeeper, but you're allowed to do that apparently.
I tell you what, Carl, I've gone home, watched it again, and gone. It's probably a foul, but it's not a clear and obvious error.
But it's not exactly that.
And that's the same thing. I've seen the United Erdegaard win the ball, and I thought, "Oh, was that a foul?" I'm not sure. And then I've looked at a replay and gone, probably, but it's not a clear and obvious error. And yet one gets overturned, and that's not That's not me going, "Oh, it's all anti-Arsenal." That's just me saying there's two similar situations. Yeah. One of which, for some reason, someone said is fine, and the other one, someone said no, should be overturned. It just Leicester also had one with Tielemans when he's shoved someone off the ball. I think he's used a good bit of strength to win the ball, but they've scored a goal. It's not clear and an obvious error. Goal stands.
If you add in the West Ham, and I'm not a West Ham fan,
God,
that's comfortably the worst.
If you watch that, the goalkeepers mugged the referee off, but
proper. Well, he's mugged the VAR off.
Well, technically, the rules state if the goalkeeper's injured, you're supposed to stop play straight away. Because you can't play without a goalkeeper, technically.
He's not injured.
But the referee has played on and they've scored. So he clearly does not think the goalkeeper's injured. Yeah. Even if somebody says, you might want to just have a look and check your decision, by the way, you walk over and you go, that is not a foul.
No, that is not enough damage for it to stay down either.
Because you remember, and this is where it goes wrong. Was it last year, De Gea?
Yeah, De Gea with Smith Rowe.
Yeah, where no Arsenal player touched him, and he went down rolling round like he was
shot.
He's one of his own players. Well, it was Fred that stood on him, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it was nothing. He shouldn't have been going down. I think whoever was in the commentary box, it might have been Keane again, but whoever it was said, "What's he doing?" And that was what I was thinking with Mendy. What's he doing? What's he rolling about for? Yeah. It was a nonsense, and it was a travesty that they disallowed it. It was a terrible decision. But VAR is the gift that keeps on giving in terms of.
But I watch bits of Italian football. I watch bits of Spanish football. I watch bits of German football, and this is why I say I don't believe they're corrupt, Carl. I think it's incompetence because I see other countries and other countries' officials. I sounded a bit racist. Wasn't meant to be. I've seen other countries' officials use VAR in a far more effective way than our officials.
Yeah, Conte mentioned it the other day about it. Now, actually, I think he was incorrect in the example he used, but his sentiment was right. We don't use it correctly in this country. You get to the point where you're celebrating the goal and you think, oh, hold on a second, hold on. Is there going to be any reason why it's going to be disallowed? And it's really It's poor for your
Yeah.
heart.
Well, that was one of the other things I was going to say. I only went to the Fulham game so far this season, and when that second goal went in, everyone's jumping around, and I'm still standing there, thinking, Matty was with me, and
I naturally getting somewhat excited, but part of me's going, well, I've absolutely no idea what's happened there. The ball's gone in the air, suddenly it's on the floor, and suddenly someone's kicked it in the goal. I've no idea what's happened.
That is exactly it.
Too excited here.
There seems to be a bloke in there saying, is there any chance? Is there any reason why I can disallow that goal, as opposed to I should be giving that goal? Is there? They're going from the negative side. They're looking for a reason to disallow the goal.
Again, a different sport. In rugby, it's always, is there any reason why I can't award a try or whatever? And in cricket, when they give a soft signal, it's, is there any reason why the batsman should be out rather than why he's in or whatever?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
They give the benefit of the doubt to the attacking team, which just doesn't.
The benefit of doubt should be for the decision that's made. That's the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, the on-field decision.
The on-field decision, and we don't have that here. The VAR official is looking for a reason. Can I overturn that decision? That's specific. That's specific to goals, not to anything else. Because if you bet your bottom dollar on a penalty, they almost always support a referee's decision. It's specific to goals. It's really weird.
Yeah. And I get some of the struggles, and I find it frustrating with the offside rule and the lines.
Yeah, I get that. That's going to be taken away. Technology will take that away in the next 2 years.
Any bit of your body you can score with. Well, if your shoulder's over the line, I think that's onside. It should be where's your feet, not where's your shoulder, your nose.
Feet and head should be the only things that come into the equation. Legs and head. Yeah, I mean, if you,
you can't. And I get the way the rules are written, it's quite difficult. But generally, the offside, apart from being very annoying, because I don't agree with someone's shoulder, or you're leaning forward, I'm not entirely sure that's offside. But I get why that is. The rest of it is awful at the moment.
Yeah, I agree. But just to finish it off, Arsenal's performance against Man United for 75 minutes-ish was pretty good. Yeah. 9 times out of 10, we're going to win that game.
Yep.
Yeah, with a little bit more common sense, a little bit more control and management of certain situations, we're going to win that game. And that's the way I'm looking at it, and that's why I feel quite positive. But there's going to be... We got Everton on Sunday. Forget Thursday. We got Everton on Sunday, and that's going to be the test after having something go. We've gone wrong for the first time this season. Let's see how we bounce back, if we do bounce back.
You can look forward to Neil Maupay kicking people.
Oh God, yeah.
Our old friend. Yeah, well, let's talk about Everton. We'll come on to some players we look forward to seeing or hope to see on Thursday. But yeah, a team that, well, it's been a nice fixture these past sort of year and a bit, even though we actually haven't had a good record against them. Somehow managed to lose them twice in the past 18 months. But they're a team that aren't very good at the minute, don't look like they've got anyone that can score goals, but did, to be fair to them, manage to keep Liverpool to a very creditable 0-0 at the weekend. So are we expecting that sort of approach from them, or the sort of more wide open, all guns blazing approach that they have seen, or Lampard has played to his detriment.
I think if I'm Fat Frank, will set his team up not to lose.
They still haven't won a game in the league
I
yet.
still think he will go out and say, if I get a point from Arsenal and I've got a point from Liverpool, I've done well. That's my opinion.
He would have done well. Let's be honest about it. For them 2 games, they wouldn't be the games he's expecting necessarily to win at the moment. He's trying to build something, rightly or wrongly, if you agree, if you like him or not. He's trying to build something there, and they're not at the top level. They're not even the top half level at the moment. So these are games. These are bonus points, and the bonus point against Liverpool. And I think he'll look at how he done it against Liverpool and try and set up in a similar fashion.
Yes.
And which will mean we'll get some cracking tackles, I think. But we'll see what referee we've got from the Northwest refereeing us this weekend. Actually, do we know who's refereeing us?
I was just going to say I'll have a look at that very quickly. So which players then do we think are going to be given a nice rest on Thursday for Sunday? Do the players that we don't expect to see on Thursday first?
Well, Ramsdale, first of all, ain't going to play. I presume it's going to be the American that plays. Zinchenko definitely isn't playing. And I don't know if he's injured. And if he's injured still, if he's still got a carrying injury, they probably won't play Tierney either. I think Ben White will play. But I don't think the other 2 centre-halves will. I think Ben White will play centre-half.
I don't think Jesus will play.
No, Eddie will start.
Eddie will play. I don't think Odegaard will play either.
Who?
Odegaard.
No, he's not playing. And then we've got a problem there because Smith Rowe is apparently injured. So
in a warm down.
Yeah, that worked well. I'm hoping he isn't, but taking it that he is.
I'd quite like to see the young Brazilian lad, Marquinhos.
Yeah, because Saka's not going to play, is he? Saka's actually going to be Marquinhos, Reece Nelson. I would have thought Martinelli's not going to play either.
Well, Nelson's not fit either, is he?
He's back in training. He's been back for 2 weeks, I think now.
Has he?
I think so.
I heard he didn't travel. They travelled this afternoon. I'm pretty sure I read that he didn't travel.
Shame.
Obviously, no El Nini, no party. I think Matt Smith might actually get a game.
Matt Smith's got to play. It'll be very interesting to see how well he does.
Some good news. We've got Simon Hooper on the refereeing this weekend. And Carl, you'll be delighted to know that Mike Dean is on the VAR.
Oh, good. We got Mike Dean from Merseyside, isn't he? I think he lives. Is it Birkenhead? Which is very fortunate because unfortunately that's not close to Everton at all.
He lives down there. We could quickly find Mr. Moynihan.
No, yeah, tell him to nobble him. Yeah, I mean we got rid of Lee Mason. Yeah, you got Mike Dean. Oh God, So yeah, it's bad for everyone. Let's be honest about it. He's just an abomination. Yeah, so Matt Smith, I'm looking forward to see.
I think Matt Smith will play. I think Marquinhos will play. Eddie will play. Turner will play. Tommy might play.
I think Tommy will play.
I think Tierney will play.
But the only reason I wondered about Tommy was, are they going to leave him for Sunday and play Ben White in the middle tomorrow and leave it at that, and have Ben White on the bench on Sunday?
Who would they play right back then on tomorrow?
That's the thing. Who have we got who plays right back?
Is the Souza kid, is he left back or right back?
He's right back, but he's not. Souza and Walters, I don't think, are they the 2 that aren't registered?
They don't need to be registered, do they? Because if you're under a certain age, you don't need to be registered.
They've got to be with the club for 2 years, and they're not. Neither of them are 2 years. So I don't know what's.
I thought I read that Souza had travelled though.
He has travelled. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know what that means.
So I was interested in that.
But surely they wouldn't have travelled him if they can't play him, because surely the under 21s will have a game at the weekend, which you don't want to be going back and forth on a
I've
plane.
just read on Sky, by the way, Jordan Pickford's out for a month with a thigh injury.
Oh dear. Who's their reserve goalkeeper now? Don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll have to look that up.
It's interesting. That's the position. Sousa and Walters, my understanding is they're not registered as B players because they've not been there for 2 years. So that would mean they'd have to be registered as A players. But I didn't even think we had 25 of the A players, if you like. So I thought there was a gap there, but I don't know. He could be travelling as the reserve, like the travelling reserve, just for a bit of experience. I honestly don't know. We'll see. We'll find out tomorrow. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it. I'm looking forward to seeing how Matt Smith copes. It's a level up from what he's been doing in League One and all that. So I think he needs to do that. Marquinhos, very interested in him. There was a number of players that were left out of the under-21 match last night. And I couldn't tell you their names. Sorry, apologies. So it'd be interesting to see if any of them get a little sniff of the game. One of them was a centre forward, wasn't he? Not centre forward. He's a winger by trade, but he's been playing a bit more forward because of injuries. Because obviously we haven't got any backup at the moment because Edwards is injured as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be interesting. Good experience. I reckon you might get 5 or 6 players either making their debuts or playing for the first time outside of perhaps a Europa League game that Matt Smith might have played 2 years ago, for all I know. But you could get
Begovic is still Everton's backup goalkeeper, by the way.
Oh, is he? He's not back keeper.
But yeah,
keeper.
If we're going to believe reports that been flying around, it's the Europa League is a competition that we're going to properly go for. And while there might be a few youngsters sprinkled in there, it's going to be pretty strong, pretty competitive, and that might not have to be the case during the group stages. Obviously, the 2 games against PSV will be a challenge. They'll definitely be ones that I'd imagine Arteta looks to win, so that basically guarantees us to win the group. But yeah, do you think it's a potential distraction from the league, or is it a good thing to keep players playing games? And
I don't
obviously, go on.
I don't think in September or October, where we've got a shed load of games, we can do with this distraction very well. We've unfortunately hit a few injuries at the wrong time, which it can happen to any team. Look at Liverpool; they've got the same issues or similar issues, but perhaps even with a slightly smaller squad, even theirs is. We've got to manage our players, and we don't want to be busting them at the moment. We need them for these periods. Hopefully, players like Smith Rowe, Party, and players like that will come back in over them 2 months. Let's fingers crossed and get them through. We could have done with El Neni, we could have done with Party, and etc. But we've managed 2 players back in Tierney and Tomiyasu quite intelligently. We need to continue to manage it quite intelligently. Don't rush people back. It cost us last year trying to rush people back. Don't need to do it again.
Yes, I agree with you actually, Cole. I think it is managed players back. And I'm actually slightly, for all the injuries we've got, I'm slightly encouraged in that we have seemed to be managing Tomiyasu back. We do seem to be managing Tierney back. Whereas I'm going to say, even last season, the season before, he'd have been nearly fit. He'd have been straight back in the side.
Yeah.
I thought he was, I thought he was quite good Wednesday. He was a lot better than he'd been the previous game. That's obviously minutes. I mean, the one thing for Tierney is he's not going to the World Cup. Zinchenko not going to the World Cup.
Yeah.
But when me and Matthew had been looking you go through the team and you think, well, barring injury, I think Ben White's going. I think Ramsdale's going. Tommy Asu's going.
Saliba's going.
Saliba's going. I'm not sure Gabriel's going or not. He might be.
Don't know on the Brazilian teams. Under the Brazilian team, there's so many players.
We've got Rob Holding who can play tomorrow.
He's definitely playing. Rob Holding is.
Yeah, and then you go into the midfield. Thomas Partey will be going to the World Cup.
Yeah.
I mean, Ghana called him up to the national squad because he's not fit to play for us, so he's going to have to go and play for Ghana.
Yeah, and one of them's a ridiculous fixture. I can't even think. They've got Brazil and someone else. So stupid.
Gabriel Jesus is going to go. Saka's going to go. Odegaard will get a rest. Martinelli, I don't see him going.
You just never know.
You don't know. So you start looking at it. Xhaka's going. And you look at most of the ones I've just said, they'll play as well. Probably Ramsdale. Different. But then the reserve goalkeeper will be going. You look at it.
Quite a few players going.
Yeah. So you have got, Eddie's going to have to play all those Europa League games and the Carabao Cup or whatever it's called now. He's got to play all of those games. You've got to leave Jesus to have a rest.
Yep.
Whatever you do.
It'd be nice if we had a
Jesus does like a rest on the 7th day, doesn't he? So
hey, whoa. Yeah.
I'm just saying that if you look at it, and we're not the only team, Carl, so I'm not saying it's a particularly just an Arsenal problem. I'm saying I don't think our squads, especially with the injuries we got, is great. But if you look, there's a lot of those players going to go to the World Cup. And if you're doing literally what you're saying, don't do, i.e. playing them every game, and then they're going to go to the World Cup and play every game, and then they're going to come back.
Yeah. I mean, obviously we're a bit selfish in the fact that we want our players to go to the World Cup, and with the exception of Saka, Ramsdale, Ben White, potentially Smith Rowe, I want them all to all do terribly and all be knocked out within 3 games.
Yeah.
It's good that we've got players going, because if you look back at the Euros, what did we have? Was it 4 players that went or something like that? And teams like Brentford had more than us, and they'd just been promoted from the Championship. But we've actually got some proper international footballers again, which is nice, and nice that sort of their work for us is being recognised from their countries. So they clearly must be doing something right at the club.
Absolutely.
Talking to people doing things right, I want Guendouzi to have a blinder tonight.
I've always liked him. I always wished him the best. So I hope that continues tonight.
Yeah, and Sanchez.
Yeah, Sanchez, Tavares, and I hope Kolasinac comes off the bench and kicks a few people.
He'll just walk through Spurs on his own, like through the high street.
Tottenham High Street.
Yeah, they'll be like, back off. Actually, they'll love him down there, won't they? Because of what happened, they'll love him as much as we do for that incident. But yeah, interesting game, but not as big as obviously our match tomorrow night.
Obviously not the big competition. 5:45 kickoff.
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go. There's an exciting one, isn't it?
Yeah.
We'll be sitting there in the rain, going, "Oh look, the team news is out." That'll be great.
Yeah, indeed. And then you'll be able to watch. Then you're gonna have to find a bar to watch the game on Sunday, I assume.
We will. But my daughter's on the case for that. She's found a sports bar.
She's making herself somewhat useful, which is unusual but nice.
Good on her. You get in that bar. You'll see me. I'll be there. I'm there on Sunday.
Good lad.
Good. Yeah, and so something else I'm going to mention actually, and this is very unusual for me. You two certainly won't have heard this a lot from me. Is that it made me think today, with the news about Tuchel and stuff like that, is that at the minute I'm quite happy with the owners of our football club. I think that I don't like a lot of what they still happens off the pitch, ticket prices, how etc etc. The website's still an absolute shambles. The prices inside the ground are horrendous. It's impossible to get away tickets if you're not a season ticket holder, and becoming a season ticket holder is basically impossible as well. But in terms of on the pitch, they've built a solid foundation, and we've now got a very young manager who's been allowed to thrive and do the same let his players do the same thing. So it is nice to have a bit of patience and a bit of stability at a club, because I don't think I'd enjoy what happens at that football club when you're happy with a manager 1 minute and the next thing you know is he's been sacked and you're getting someone else in.
You're
Same
with
with
the manager, let him spend 270 million.
yeah.
What's
Yeah.
that about? Why would you let him spend that sort of money?
So
That's
yeah,
just mad.
A bit of praise for Josh, especially, who's clearly someone that's taken an interest in the football club and
would appear that way. I'm not going to.
yeah, I'm not sure I'm ever going to be 100% happy with them, because I'm certainly never going to forget the old Super League shambles. But they look like at the minute they're doing some good things there, which is what we expect. Well, and what needs to happen, but
Yeah,
it doesn't happen everywhere. So, and it hasn't happened at our club for a long time. So,
Rubio.
Ironically, the Chelsea bloke is there every game.
He's got nothing better to do in his life, has he? I mean, at the moment he's just bought it. He's up front at the
but
moment.
if you've read some of it, he says, oh, he's not happy with Tuchel because he didn't feel like he had a strong enough bond and relationship with him. It's very strange. He wants someone to be his
pub with someone.
Yeah, he wants to be someone to be his mate. Oh, what team you planning on playing this weekend, boss? That's not how it works. And hopefully he doesn't learn that and keep sacking managers.
Yeah. I was hoping that they'd go for Gareth Southgate, but and then Potter could become England manager.
Well, again, me and Matthew had that discussion. Does he go to Chelsea or does he sit there and go, I'll start at Brighton, I'm probably the next England manager?
Yeah, does he want to be an international manager? Don't know.
Don't know.
But going to Chelsea, once you're at Chelsea, I suppose, even if you get the sack after 6 months, it opens doors for you, I guess. He's not afraid to travel, as he's proven.
No.
But do you want the stress and the hassle? Does he want that? I honestly don't know. He's got. It took him a while to set it up at Brighton. How he wanted probably a season.
Yeah.
He ain't going to get a season at Chelsea. You don't get a season.
No, I know. I'm not sure he's an attractive enough name for the owners, and I mean they might have too many big personalities, like a certain striker that they've recently brought in who really liked the previous manager, but I'm not sure he'll get
60 minutes. He got.
I'm not sure he'll get on so well with someone that's unproven at that level, even though, as we say, he's done an exceptional job at Brighton.
He's got to deal with he's got a hand that's already been dealt for a previous manager.
Yeah.
And that's where he's got an issue. I think with the likes of Mount and James and the younger players, including the geezer they bought for Brighton and
Brozier, yeah.
He could build that relationship pretty sharpish. It's with the older players that he might have an issue, and there's quite a few older players around that club, and that's where he might have an issue. But it's up to him. I personally would. It depends how much money do you want, how much money, how ambitious are you? is there a limitation? Because you're going there, you're not going to get that year, and he knows that.
No, and I agree with you, Carl. He's not going to. You're not going to get a. Oh, it's fine. We haven't finished in the Champions League places, and we haven't won anything.
Exactly.
It will be. Well,
you're fired. Get the door.
Sixth
You're
isn't
fired.
acceptable.
Well, one of the main things we all talked about when it was should Arteta be staying is we're not sure we get in that'd be better, and we've got Arteta's players in now. We don't want someone else coming in saying, "Oh, I don't like you, and we're back to square one again." So just shows a bit of patience is can be really important, and looks like certainly at the minute we're sort of reaping the rewards of that. And well, I'll see you Chelsea go for which approach they're going to go for, but hopefully we can just watch from a sort of hot ivory tower and just keep enjoying the way it's going for us at the minute.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll win 2 games out of 2 this week.
Indeed, that would be nice.
Yes, well, thank you both very much for joining me. There may be an episode next week. Me and Dad are away on our holidays. We're joining Madeline in Menorca, but we'll see if there's an episode towards the end of next week.
If not, yes, I'll see you Thursday night and tomorrow,
yes.
Carl.
But yeah, thank you all very much for joining me. Thank you both for joining me. Thank you all for listening, and we'll be back very soon. But until then, it is goodbye.